don't know if this is about me, like, do I just hate men? Yeah, I do hate men. Yeah, that's probably the problem. Hello everyone, my name is Mia and welcome back to Brimful of Books. So I haven't filmed a video in a while because I am in my final year of university and I am dying inside. Hello, it's editing me. I look like a troll right now, so here's a picture of a lovely little hedgehog for you to enjoy instead. So I filmed this video a while ago, but like I said, I've been busy having a mental breakdown, basically, so I haven't been able to edit and upload this video until now.
Started making it, had a breakdown. Bon appetit.
But I still wanted to do the video because I like it, so sue me. Please don't. That's why I'm uploading it a little bit late, but I hope you're okay with that. This video is just about the books that I read sort of between January and March or April, because in May I basically just read one book and I read quite a lot in June, but that will be in a different video, so yeah, I hope you enjoy. But anyway, I read some books, so let's talk about them. But to spice things up a little bit, to bring a bit of flavour into this video, I thought I'll also talk about music. So I love music. I know, I'm like so cracky, like, oh my god. And sometimes when you read a book, it just reminds you of a certain song. And that happened to me recently when I read a specific book that's gonna show up later in this video. And that kind of inspired me to make a whole video where I basically just match the books that I've read to songs that I like that fit the vibes of that book. And yeah, that's what this video is all about. Now, I'm terrified of the YouTube copyright system. I have no idea how it works, and even though my channel is obviously not monetized, I'm still scared of like copyright claims or whatever, copyright strikes and all that. So I'm not going to be putting the actual music in this video, but I have made a Spotify playlist of all the songs that I'll be talking about in this video, which I will link down below, and then you can have a listen to the songs. Maybe if you like the vibe of a certain song, maybe pick up the associated book, or if you've already read these books, maybe listen to the songs and then tell me how wrong I am and how another song is way better for the book. So I read 3 books in January. They were all self-help books because I was going to do a video on getting my life together with books, but then my life basically like sucker punched me and I just haven't recovered yet, and my life is not together. It is just not. But yeah, I read these books anyway, so I'm going to be talking about them kind of briefly, and there's one song that I associate with all of these books, so I'm going to talk about the books first and then tell you which song I associate it with these 3 books. First, I read The Happiness Trap by Russ, which is a book that I borrowed from a colleague of mine ages and ages ago. I think it was over a year ago, and she wanted it back, so then I had to read it really quickly because I was like, I haven't read it yet, I'm so sorry. And then I just kind of read it really quickly before she came to pick it up. So it's about acceptance and commitment therapy, which is ACT therapy for short, and that just really interested me because I study psychology, and that's why I'm just really interested in different kinds of therapy and kind of how they relate to each other and their effectiveness and usefulness. So the basic principles of ACT therapy are A, accept your thoughts and feelings and be present, C, connect to your values, and T, take effective action. So that's kind of what the book takes you through. It gives you loads of strategies to actually achieve that, and those have been really, really helpful for me personally. I've been using a lot of the strategies that the book gives you, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But I do have to say that it took me quite a while to get into this book because the first part of it is just difficult. You know when you're anyone who isn't a cis man and you're talking and then suddenly this man decides to interrupt you and say, well actually, with that little smirk and that little I know so much better than you. That's what the first part of this book felt like to me. It was so condescending. It was like, you peasants just don't know how to do things. I'm so much better than you because I have all these theories and all these things that I know how to do, even though I literally just stole them from Buddhism. That's another thing that annoyed me. He kind of made this out to be this completely new thing that he created and that he knows all the things about, but it's just not. It's basically mindfulness training, which is a very, very old Buddhist tradition, and I have no idea why he just completely glossed over that fact. But once it got to the actual strategies, the book was just amazing. It was so helpful. There was so many different things that I learned from it that I didn't know before. If you're someone who struggles with anxiety or low mood, any sorts of those kinds of issues, then maybe do check out this book. Obviously not instead of therapy. This book is not going to fix your mental health. You need therapy if you have actual serious issues with your mental health. So don't take this as me saying that this will fix all your problems, because it probably won't, but you can try it out if you want to. So then I read Atomic Habits by James Clear, because apparently I'm a male productivity YouTuber now. Yeah. But it was actually quite good. I really enjoyed the book. I listened to this as an audiobook, which was probably not the right choice, because with a book like this, you kind of want to remember what you read, and I don't really think that I do remember everything I read and all those tips and strategies that were in this book. So if you're going to pick this up, then definitely do get a physical copy or like an ebook of it, so that you can learn better from this book. So this book is obviously about forming effective habits and getting rid of bad ones. Again, this book was sometimes a bit difficult to kind of get through, because it felt like this man just explaining everything to me like I'm stupid. I don't know if this is about me, like, do I just hate men? Yeah, I do hate men. Yeah, that's probably the problem. So sometimes this book was a bit difficult to read for me, a bit annoying, but once it got to the actual strategies of how to create good habits for yourself, it was really, really interesting, and I feel like I learned a lot from it. And lastly, the book that I didn't like, which I do have a physical copy of, it is Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Hector Garcia and Francesc Morales. That's definitely how you say their names, but I don't care, because I really didn't like this book. So Ikigai is supposed to be your reason to jump out of the bed in the morning, your meaning to life, everything that fulfills you and makes you live a long and happy, prosperous life. The back of this book says, inspiring and comforting, this book will give you the life-changing tools to uncover your personal Ikigai. But it just didn't do that. Why the heck would you say that when it just doesn't do that? Because I expected this to be like really profound knowledge that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I don't know why. So it just talks a lot about how these people in a small village in Okinawa in Japan live such a long life, because loads of them get over 100 years old. And that's it. And now I'm going to tell you the secret to living a long and happy life that I learned in this book. It's very secret, so don't tell anyone, but you need to eat healthy and exercise regularly. I know, crazy, right? It's so shocking that these people finally found the ultimate key to a happy life. But yeah, I don't know what I expected from this book, but it just no. I probably shouldn't have done that. I wanted to sell that book at some point. So the song that I picked to remind me of all of these three books is Are You Bored Yet by Wallows and Claro, because obviously that is exactly the thought that I had when I was reading Ikigai. Are you bored yet? Yes, I am. But the song is actually really good and I really, really enjoy it. So that's why it also reminds me of the first two books, because they were actually really good and really enjoyable. So yeah. So next up, the first book I read in February was February. Anyway, the first book I read in the second month of the year was Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and the song I associate with this book is Electric Love by Borns, is how I'm going to say this name. The song is fun, a little bit sexy, and about people being in love, just like the book Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Now, I love this book so much. So this book is about Chloe Brown, who has a near-death experience which makes her realise just how boring her life is. So she then writes a Get a Life list to do all of the things that she just hasn't been doing because of her chronic illness. And oh boy, Talia Hibbert has done it again. I love romance books now. I don't know how it happened or when it happened, but give me more romance books like this, please. I must say that I did love Dani Brown just a bit more than this one, but I still love both of them so much. I love the writing style, I love the characters, they're always so real, and just the banter, the very British banter that they have, and just the way they talk to each other, and the way that they are, it's just really realistic and fun to me, and I love reading it. It's really cute, really steamy, gave it a 4 stars. The only reason it wasn't a 5 stars for me was because towards the end they decided to insert this completely unnecessary and unrealistic conflict for no reason. I have no idea why she did that. It bothered me so much. I was reading the book within like a day or two, and when it got to that point, I just couldn't read it anymore. I didn't read it for like a week or 2 because I just didn't want to finish it at that point, because I was like, this is so useless, why did you do this? It made no sense to me. Still, I think you should all read this book if you're looking for something very fun, very fluffy, very cute, very steamy, and I loved it. So the song that describes the next book for me is Body Was Made by Ezra Furman. I mean, it's Ezra Furman. Do I need to say anything else? Yeah, I probably should. So Ezra describes their song as, Body Was Made is a protest song against the people and forces that make me ashamed of my body, my gender, and my sexuality. It's a declaration of freedom from false authority and self-appointed social police who have given me grief all my life. Yes! Yes, 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 yes. That's so great. I love it so much. It's such a fun song. It's really upbeat. It's really powerful. I love it. And it perfectly fits the book that I'm going to talk about, and the book is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I think this song fits the book perfectly, not only because Ezra and Aiden are both trans, but also just because both the song and the books are ultimately just so positive and upbeat and empowering, and they just both make me so, so happy. And yeah, so that's why I paired these two. So I've talked about Cemetery Boys quite a few times on my channel, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. This book is about a trans boy whose family are all baaaack, so they can all do magic, and in order for him to prove that he is in fact a boy, a baaaack, he has to do the specific rituals that only baaacks can do, but something goes wrong and he accidentally summons the wrong spirit, and then the spirit won't leave, and it's just really fun. It's compelling, it's heartwarming, it's just adorable, it's just so enjoyable all throughout, and I can highly, highly recommend it. The next book I read was Grown by Tiffany Jackson, and I listened to this as an audiobook on Scribd, and I really, really liked it. So this book is about a young 17-year-old girl called Enchanted, and she really wants to be a singer, and then she gets discovered by Corey Fields, who's a very famous singer, and he offers her a record deal and a tour and all of these amazing things. So at first it seems like all of her dreams are coming true at once, but then it gets very dark when she realises how abusive and possessive Corey Fields actually is, because he's 28 and she's 17, and he's basically grooming her, and yeah. The book is meant to be a thriller, so it kind of starts out with Enchanted waking up with a headache, and she can't remember what happened, but she wakes up in a pool of blood, essentially, and she realises that Corey is dead. So that's how the book started, and I loved that premise. I thought it was really interesting, it was so great. But in the end, it just reads a lot more like a contemporary. It's not really a thriller to me. I didn't even realise it was supposed to be a thriller for most of the book, so that already shows you that that wasn't very well done. Still, I did really enjoy this book. I thought the characters were really well done. The plot was really interesting. It all felt like it was building up to this really big thing, but then I feel like the ending kind of ruined it a little bit for me because it was so confusing. I have no idea what happened in the end. I felt like a lot of the twists just didn't make any sense. They weren't like build up throughout the stories, they were just suddenly chucked in there in the end. Still, I would definitely recommend this book. It was still a really interesting and important read. But obviously be aware of the trigger warnings. Obviously grooming, rape, abuse, murder. There's a lot of really dark themes in this book. I'll leave all the trigger warnings below. So be aware of that going into the book. But I think it's still really, really important as a book itself, because it kind of details the intersections of class and race and gender, obviously. Enchanted being a black girl, it was really interesting seeing how society treats young black women, and I really loved that about the book. So the song that I associate with this book is the song that Enchanted sings for her first audition when she was discovered, and that is If I Were Your Woman by Gladys Knight and the Pips. And I just really love this song. It's so empowering, it's just incredible. Her voice is amazing, and throughout the whole book, Enchanted constantly talks about and sings songs from these really powerful black female singers from the 60s and 70s, like Aretha Franklin, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. So she always sings songs by these amazing, powerful women, and she is herself. Enchanted is herself an amazing, powerful woman that just had a really bad thing happen to her, and that's why the book is so hard-hitting and just great. The next book I read was Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey Mcquiston, and for this one I was actually really struggling to come up with a song that I associate with it, but then I remembered that one of the characters named their dog after David Bowie, so I thought I'll just pick my favourite David Bowie song. So the song that I picked for this one is Queen Bitch, just because it's one of my favourite Bowie songs and it's very, very gay. The song is about a drag queen. It uses a lot of gay slang in it. Perfect for a gay romance novel. So this book is about the son of the US president falling in love with a British prince. So I love that premise. I think it's so cute, it's amazing as a premise, but I must say that I was a little bit disappointed. I just wanted to love this book so much because I know so many people who do. This book is so overhyped on Bookstagram and BookTube and everywhere, but I wasn't feeling it. I did like some of the characters. I thought the book was very fun and fluffy overall, while also talking about really important political things at the same time, and I thought that was really great. But the love story, this whole thing was built up to be a hate to love romance, but it just wasn't. Like, show me a book that actually does a hate to love romance, because I've never read one that actually does that well, because it just every time someone says that it's a hate to love romance, it's like you kind of dislike the person and then suddenly you realize that they're actually really great and then you fall in love. Like, I don't know, that's not hate to me. Because they started hanging out and immediately they were just in love completely forever and always, and they wrote each other love letters and everything. That's another thing that annoyed me about this book, because it's set in 2020. These people are my age, so they were 22, 23 in the year 2020, and they sent each other emails. I have never sent any romantic partner an email. Do they not know that FaceTime exists? Like, I think I would have liked to have chapters from Henry's perspective as well, because that's what I thought the book was going to be, but there weren't any chapters, and I felt like I just didn't know Henry whatsoever, so I just didn't feel the romance, because there was no reason for Alex to fall in love with Henry, because Henry was boring as fuck. Like, I did enjoy it. I think it was written well and it was quite cute as well, but I just didn't have that, oh my god, yes, you're so adorable, I love you so much. Like, I just didn't have that. But still, I wish that this book was reality, because like I said, it's set in 2020, but obviously Corona didn't happen. Trump was also never elected. The US is completely liberal and voted a very, very, very liberal person to be their president. Basically a person who has every single liberal viewpoint that I hold, and that was just amazing. I wish that was real. Can we just go back a year and just make this real? That would be great. The next book I read was actually a physical book again, and that is Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow by Benjamin Dean. So this book is about a young, I think 12-year-old boy called Archie, whose dad comes out as gay. And then Archie doesn't really understand what that means, and he's kind of trying to fix his relationship with his dad, because they kind of started to grow apart a little bit after that happened. And then Archie decides to go to London Pride to find all of the answers that he needed, and you can tell by me smiling, this book is so damn wholesome. I just loved it so much. Archie is such a tiny bean. Like, this is a middle grade book, obviously, and that's why it just felt so wholesome and adorable to me. I think this is such a great introduction to the LGBTQ+ community for children, because it's very much them just trying to figure out what everything means, what the different terms mean, and they meet these amazing people at Pride, and it's just, I just love it so much. It's all about family and love and friends as well. The friendship between these characters is so amazing. It's so adorable. And look at this book. Look how gorgeous that is. Ignore my blue fingernails, but look how gorgeous. I love the illustrations of this so much. It is so beautiful. So that's already a reason for you to buy this book, please. It's also just amazing. I do feel like I would have liked to see more from the dad's perspective, because I feel like we didn't really get that. It was kind of Archie trying to find out from other people, and I felt like I was kind of missing that relationship a little bit, that him explaining to his son what his experience is like. So I would have liked to see more of that, but still, this book was incredible. Because this book is all about pride, I decided to go with a song that encapsulates that. I mean, there's obviously loads of iconic songs that are always played at Pride, but the one that I picked is Born This Way by Lady Gaga. This is one of the most famous gay anthems out there, and obviously it being very upbeat, very empowering, very positive, it really encapsulates what this book is also about. The song makes me happy, the book makes me happy, they match. And after that I read Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers, and holy shit, I love this book so much. It is definitely one of my favourites of the year. I fell in love with it so much. I cried so hard so many times. So this is about 28-year-old Grace, who just finished her PhD in astronomy, because holy fuck, she's amazing. She then goes on a trip to Las Vegas with some of her friends, and she gets married there to just a random stranger who she doesn't know. So she basically wakes up the next morning having married a woman who she doesn't know and doesn't really have any connection with, and yeah, this is completely different to who she usually is, because she's an overachiever, she is a workaholic, she loves plans, so getting randomly married to a stranger in Vegas is probably not on her plan. But that's what makes it so interesting. But the book is also more about her rather than the romance. I thought it was kind of this cute, fluffy romance, but it's not actually that. It's just kind of a contemporary, I guess, coming of age novel in a way. I don't know if that's applicable to 28-year-olds, but to me it is. It was so relatable, because Grace just feels really lost. She's struggling to find a job, she's dealing with expectations from her father, and it's just all very stressful for her. She's under a lot of pressure. So she decides to go to New York to meet her wife, and yeah, it's so heartwarming and amazing, and these characters are just so intricately crafted. I loved Grace as a main character. I loved Yuki, who's her wife. It's all about privilege and higher education and racism and mental health struggles, and just kind of trying to love yourself in a way, and that's just so beautiful to me. I cried so much. It is a book about loneliness and how you can feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people, and about struggling to cope when you've been doing something for so long that you feel like you can't stop, and it's just it was so relatable to me. It was so relatable to me, which is why I cried so much. And because Grace is an astronomer, her friends sometimes refer to her as Space Girl. And obviously the title is Honey Girl because that's what her wife Yuki refers to her as, but her friends often refer to her as Space Girl, and that's why I constantly had the song Space Girl stuck in my head while I was reading this, and that's why I wanted to do this video. And this song obviously fits the book because it's about a space girl being in love with an Earth girl, and that's just so adorable. I loved it. It fits the book, and I love the song so much. I love both of them so much. I feel like this is definitely going to be one of my favourite books of the year, so please do read it if you haven't already. And the last book or book series that I wanted to talk about is one that I'm currently reading, which is Twilight. So this one is obviously Midnight Sun. I just read Twilight last year and I didn't want to put myself through that again, but yeah. They are really trash, don't get me wrong, but they are enjoyable trash. My boyfriend and I have been watching the movies as well, and we are just having fun, okay? They're not good whatsoever. There's a lot of really terrible stuff in these movies and in the books as well, but it's just fun, you know? Just let me have fun. I put down the book now because it's very heavy, but the song I associate with Twilight is Supermassive Black Hole by Muse, because obviously this is the iconic song that is played in the baseball scene in Twilight. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It is iconic and I love it. I actually think the Twilight soundtracks are really good. Like the soundtrack for the first movie and the second movie a little bit as well are just actually genuinely good, which is surprising because the movies are not, but yeah. So that was it. That was all the books I read recently that I wanted to talk about, and I hope you enjoyed the connections to the different songs. Definitely do check out my playlist that I'll link down below, and you can listen to all of these lovely, lovely songs. Let me know what you've been reading recently and if any songs fit the vibes of that book as well, because I'd be very interested to hear that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!